Okay, let's look at a question that came in the past years of your UPSC exam. This is, I think, so the recent past years. This is 2021 paper. The slope of the IS schedule will become steeper if the government reduces the rate of proportional tax, but will not change at all if the government reduces the level of the lump sum tax. True or false? Explain. Let's look into what the question is saying. So it's saying that the slope of IS schedule will become steeper. So an IS schedule, it is actually drawn in the RY space, interest rate and income space. This is the slope of the IS schedule is dr by dy. Now it says it becomes steeper if government reduces the rate of proportional tax. Now just kind of try to understand this. An IS schedule, it shows me what is a goods market equilibrium. A goods market equilibrium is achieved where Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus NX. Now, when we go ahead and we talk about finding the slope of the IS curve, I must go ahead and expand each of these terms individually. If you closely look here, you will notice that it is talking about the proportional tax. So we know that our consumption function is C bar plus C disposable income. Disposable income is income minus taxes. Tax is in this case given as proportional, so some portion of the income. So when I open this up and I write this, I will get C bar plus C, Y minus PY plus. Instead of I will write I bar minus B. Either write R or write I, it's fine. I'm assuming that inflation is 0. We can also assume it to be constant, it's fine. So minus BI or BR, whatever you want, nominal or real, that's fine. That's not the interest of this question. Plus G bar plus NX bar. So what do I get? I have C bar here, I have I bar here, G bar here, NX bar here. These are all my autonomous variables. So I can bring them together and say A bar plus C 1 minus T into Y minus BR. This is Y. So if you will find the value of optimal value of Y, this is how you can solve it. And your Y star would be A bar minus BR or BI. I'm using real, you can use nominal, upon 1 minus C, 1 minus T. This will be the value of your Y star. Now the slope, as I just told you, is, so you have perpendicular by base as the slope. Here you have interest rate and income. So I have to find dr by dy. Now notice that if I find dy, it will be minus b upon 1 minus c, 1 minus t into dr. So my dr by dy, this is the slope. This would be 1 minus c, 1 minus t upon b with a negative sign. Right? Now, this I can write like this. Slope is equal to, maybe I write slope as S. This is equal to 1 minus C, 1 minus T upon B with the negative sign. This becomes my slope. Now the question is, how does the slope change as T changes? So the question is asking me, how does the slope change as there is a change in T? What will happen to it? So if I differentiate this again with respect to T, I will get, so if you open this up, you will have minus 1 minus C plus Ct upon B. So it will be minus 1 plus C minus Ct upon B. So if I differentiate this with respect to T, I will get minus C by B. This would be my slope. Now, assuming that the marginal propensity to consume, this is greater than 0, and the sensitivities is also greater than 0, I have this less than 0. So as T increases, the slope decreases. As T increases, the slope decreases. Now just look here. This is a flat IS curve. This is a steep IS curve. A steep IS curve is one which has higher perpendicular by base. So this has more slope. This has less perpendicular by base. So this has less slope. Now the question is asking, what happens when you reduce the rate of proportional tax? I saw that slope and proportional tax are inversely related. So when I reduce proportional tax, slope increases. When slope increases, I know from here that it will be steeper. So I will get a steeper IS curve. That's the first part to this question. Now look at the second part. It says what happens if there is a lump sum tax? Will it change or will it not change? Now it's very simple. Instead of having Ty, what will you do? You will just have a lump sum tax T here. So T is also, because it is lump sum, it has no Y component attached to it. So when you will solve it, that T will come within A bar. So your A bar here, it will become C bar plus G bar plus NX bar minus CT bar. This will be what your, A bar would be. Here you will no more have T term coming up. You will no more have T term coming up. So this will just go off. This will just go. Now the slope would be independent of the T term. And since it would be independent of the T, therefore, you know that the slope is not affected by T. So, because it is independent of T, ds by dt, that will come down to 0. This would be 0. So, the slope will not be affected when there is a change in the tax rate. Now, let's just go ahead and look here. So just see how I have written the answer here. I went ahead and I gave the definition of the IS curve. So the IS curve shows combinations of interest rate and output or income such that planned spending equals income. So it shows a good market equilibrium in the RY space. Now then I took the case of proportional tax, and whatever I taught you right now, I just did all of that. So I started by taking AD is equal to C plus I plus G. And then I just expanded up on this equation with the help of expanding C, I, and G. And note that I'm clearly mentioning everything within my paper. I am mentioning that this is a tax which is a proportion of income. That is why I have subtracted this. Then I went ahead and I kind of solved for the value of Y. and this is what I got. Maybe here also you can write that this is the equilibrium level of income. Then I went ahead and I found the slope of the IS curve by finding the value of I from here and then finding di by dy. This becomes my slope. This is my equation. I also showed the same through the diagram. And now I said, how is slope affected by t? To find that, you differentiate whatever your slope is with respect to t. I got a negative sign. So I just said that here you can write that slope is inversely proportional. The idea is to show the math behind it also to tax rate. That's important, that you show the math behind this. So I just went ahead and I just found out, I just wrote this thing. And then you simply write this and you can conclude saying that the first part of the statement is true. Then I went ahead to the second case. So this was easy. Instead of, y, d being y minus ty, I took it as y minus t. Y is c plus I plus g. I just expanded on this equation and I got the value of I. After finding the value of I just found out di by dy. And this is what I got. And here, you could have done one additional step. You could have done how the slope changes as t changes is 0 by differentiating it. And then you would have concluded that the slope is unaffected by the lump sum tax. So you say that the statement is true. There are two things that are happening. The slope of IS curve is affected by proportional tax rate. It is not affected by lump sum tax rate. This is how you can go ahead and prove this question. So two parts to this question. The question is asking you about how the IS curve is affected by proportional tax and how the IS curve is affected by lump sum tax. You have to go and check both the things. Only if both of them are true, you mark the statement as true. Otherwise, the statement is a false statement. Okay? All right. Thank you.